The first item on the agenda this evening is audience communications, and we have Anita Sabatini. Good evening, Anita.
Hi, how are you?
Hi there.
Hello, my name is Anita Sabatini. I'm a parent of children attending LPS schools. I'd like to ask a few questions I wanted to direct to the superintendent and the school board as a whole. I would very much like to receive a written answer to A, in regards to the recent renegotiations of the school employee contracts, the teachers, union principals, and central office. There are several bills in front of the Michigan legislature this year, and several Governor Granholm will be putting forth tonight in her State of the State address that could potentially affect how school employees are paid and how their health care is handled. If these bills pass and are signed by the governor, would this new contract negotiated by the administration exempt Livonia school employees from paying increased health care premiums and mandatory salary decreases? B, second question. Does the renegotiated contract for teachers, principals, and central office guarantee that bus transportation for high school students will be a service provided by Livonia Public Schools for the 2010-2011 term? C, third question. When negotiating salary and health care insurance with school teachers and principals, why isn't an outside the Livonia district negotiator used like other school districts, especially since the cut in these benefits may potentially have to be taken by themselves? A prompt response would be appreciated, and thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mrs. Sabatini.
Can I ask, you have that in writing, do you have a copy that you could leave with the superintendent, since you asked him to answer those? That way he'll be clear to answer your questions.
And I can answer them right now if you want me to. I can,
That would be great, Dr.
yeah,
Leopold,
I can
go
zip
ahead.
through those. First of all, the governor's proposal is a rather complex proposal, and it includes things that may affect collective bargaining and other things that may not. As an example, the changes she's suggesting for the retirement system, possibly retirement benefits are not negotiated in contracts, so I believe that those changes would not impact any of the collective bargaining agreements. And so that was one big proposal that she had made on Friday. And so that would be one example. Another example would be if it was a mandatory health care contribution, that we would have to wait for one additional year before we could implement that. And so if that was a suggestion for next year, then we would have to wait until the following year in order to implement that. Although even with the projections that she has, 20% health care contribution for our employees wouldn't be all that much different than the concessions that we were actually able to get from our employees. And so that's what would happen with the governor's proposal on those two particular items that that were highlighted. And of course, they've got quite a ways to go as it relates to actually getting a vote on any of those items. And so what would come out of that, we don't know. What we do know is we've got about $3.5 million of savings from our teachers alone over the next 2 years. As far as bus transportation, there's no guarantee for bus transportation or other line items in the budget, and so that's something that we would discuss every year, and we'll discuss again this year for service for next year. And lastly, as it relates to an outside negotiator, we do use legal counsel to help us in relation to negotiations, and so as you know, we've used our legal counsel when needed to help advise us on that. We do negotiate when we can. Separate from that, it saves us money, and we believe that when we need a professional negotiator, we bring them in, but if we don't, we do it ourselves. And certainly being one of the very few school districts in the Tri-County area to get any kind of concessions out of their employees would say that we've done a pretty good job without needing an outside person to come in and negotiate that.
Thank you, Dr. Leopold.